Ladies and gentlemen, the following episode is scheduled for one fall. Coming down the aisle are your hosts of In The Kliq, Baby Huey and Ryan Tronic.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me once again is my tag team partner from Pro Wrestling Unlimited. It's Tim. What's going on, man?
Not much. Always glad to be here. You gave me the call and you're like, hey, I need somebody. And I was like, hey, you know I got you. I got to get my AEW podcast done. But as soon as I'm done with that, boom, jump right on with you and talk wrestling, because I just love talking wrestling, especially with you. We have a good back and forth, I think. So
absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm with you. Well, first I'll thank you for the kind words. And yeah, thank you for making the save once again. I feel like an episode of Dynamite, calling in some backup for Forbidden Door or something. You're my Okada coming in for the save against the Blackpool Combat Club. But yes, right. As far as chemistry goes, yeah, I've gotten some private messages from friends who really like the episodes you and I've done together. So no, thank you for saying that. And thank you for everyone who do listen. And making the save last minute. Brian was going to record with me tonight, but then he texted me last minute. I guess he's having a power outage in his neck of the woods in the Bay Area. And unfortunately, no internet, no TV. So he's not been able to watch Dynamite tonight.
Right.
So, but for the Kliqsters out there, I do apologize kind of for lack of episodes the last few weeks. A lot going on. Pretty much since Memorial Day to now, it's been nonstop chaos. Very busy for me. End of May, Memorial Day weekend, I was up at Bottle Rock in Napa all weekend covering that music festival for work. But it was fun. Got to see Smashing Pumpkins, a.k.a. the owner of the NWA, Mr. Billy Corgan, Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was a lot of fun. But that weekend, as you know, Tim, that was a busy weekend between Night of Champions, NXT Battleground, and AEW Double or Nothing. So I was missing everything live. I watched Night of Champions live because it was Saturday morning. Okay. But everything else I missed live. So I had to spend the next week catching up and stuff like that. And so I was just behind schedule. So that week after Memorial Day weekend, I was just behind. And then the following week, I got a cold and I was just really sick and just didn't have the energy. It wasn't COVID. I tested myself. It was negative and all that. But still, I was just out of it. And then literally the following week, so this last Tuesday, my voice started going away. It was just starting getting scratchy and just sounded terrible. And the rest of the week, it just sounded bad. Even my coworkers were all like, are you okay? Are you okay? I couldn't do my radio show. It wasn't until Sunday my voice started sounding better. And even still, it feels a little, I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking. I sound a little extra deeper still. Right. but so I'm finally feeling better now. And it's like, oh my God, it's been a few weeks since I've done an episode. I got to play catch up now. So, yes, we're getting back on track, back to our regular schedule. And I really want to get back to doing 2 episodes a week, just because, as you know, Tim, between WWE and all their programming, now AEW with all their programming, so much to talk about. I definitely do an episode fully about WWE, another episode about AEW. So, a lot to talk about, but this episode will be all about AEW. We're on the road to Forbidden Door this weekend. But before we get into all that, we saw the go home episode of Dynamite tonight, which we'll go over all the highlights. But also, this past Saturday was the debut episode of AEW Collision, which I got to watch. Super excited to see it. So, Tim, let's just go ahead and jump right into that. What's kind of some of your takeaways? We'll start big, kind of like our initial thoughts, and then we'll go through some of the highlights from Collision. But what was your thoughts on watching Collision this past Saturday?
So I like the stage. The stage looks like it's twice the size of the Dynamite stage. Now, not being there in person, I can't say yes or no. I have seen the Dynamite, the newer current Dynamite stage in person. Mm-hmm. But this new Collision stage looks huge, wider. The stage is different because the stage is all reflective and glossy instead of carpet and matte. So that's also one thing that makes it look, I think that helps make it look bigger. Mm-hmm. The reflections on the stage and stuff, I think that is one thing that helps it look bigger. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's taller, but it's for sure wider. Like that's 100%. Like it's wider, and it had a big time important show feel just from the stage itself. I'll say that for sure. Because I think that stage is more to have the reflections from the screens, and the Dynamite stage is built more for like the lasers and stuff from the lights to hit it in fun ways.
Gotcha. Yeah, I really
the lights hitting the reflection wouldn't work right.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I really hope I have to look online, see if there's like a breakdown comparing the two stages, like what's different between the two. Because I was trying to look at it closely, but it was a lot of quick camera shots and cuts from the stage and stuff. And I was trying to look closely. It's like, is it the same, just TV screens, but just what they projected on the screen just made it look different. I was trying to see.
So it's similar in that way of its layered screens, but just the placement of the screens are different. And there's a few, I think, extra screens on each side.
Gotcha.
And of course, the ramp and the stage itself, the reflections on that. But overall, I thought the show for the first episode was good. Now we just got to wait and see if it stays good. Because if you remember with Rampage, first episode pretty good. Second episode actually better, increased in the ratings. And then by week 3 and 4, it just started going downhill.
Yeah, I mean, definitely after like a month or two, you could tell Rampage was just a pre-recorded show, and it was a lot of throwaway matches or matches, not a lot of important story beats going on.
So we were getting at times, like if it was pay-per-view weekend, we'd get a live Rampage.
Yes.
I don't think they're doing that anymore. I don't think that's the thing anymore. So
my guess is now with Collision Saturdays and the pay-per-view Sundays, now there's going to be more emphasis on that Saturday Collision show.
Oh, yeah, because now it seems like the plan is we tape Rampage, Dynamite, Tuesday. ROH, Collision, Saturday.
Exactly. Yeah. So I could see how the Collision episode can have a lot of go-home moments the day before pay-per-view.
Right.
And Rampage. Now Rampage just becomes even less important, I think. Like, why even watch it now? It might be just a lot of filler matches that you would see on Dark or Elevation at this point. I really think Rampage is going to absorb what those two shows used to represent.
And that's what ROH already has become. ROH is like what was it, 2 weeks ago? They were like, oh, join us for ROH this week because we have 11 matches on the show.
Yeah.
I'm like, geez.
That's okay. Not to go on a tangent here, but that's kind of like my issue with AEW right now is like, okay, you have Dynamite, you have Collision, you have Rampage, and you have Ring of Honor. It just seems very fluid right now with the roster. Like people are appearing on different shows, like, Daniel Garcia, he'll be at ROH one week, and then he's on Dynamite, and then he's back on ROH, and then he'll be on, maybe Collision or something. That's just one example, but I want ROH to have importance, to have some value. And I think to do that, you got to make it its own separate brand. And I know early on when AEW bought ROH, a lot of people thought, oh, cool, this will be maybe their version of NXT to what NXT is to WWE. Not necessarily maybe developmental, but a place where, maybe people who won't maybe have screen time on Dynamite can go and build themselves up, and you have separate storylines and big matches there, pay-per-views. That's what I'm hopeful for. But everyone I've talked to, for the most part, have all said Ring of Honor, you're not really missing anything unless you just like the old Dark Elevation model of just match after match after match and not a lot of stories being told. Then if you just want to watch wrestling, that's it. ROH is your spot. But other than that, it doesn't seem like really, importance there, which kind of bums me out because Ring of Honor, for what our lifetime has such significant value and what it represents to the pro wrestling industry. If it's now just going to be a spot just for extra matches to take place, overflow from Dynamite and I guess Collision now, I mean, then, it just seems kind of pointless.
And what are your thoughts of them filming it with Collision, now using that, as we talked about earlier, grandiose Collision stage and not having its own identity and feel? At least when they were doing the Universal Studios stuff, it had its own feel there.
Exactly, which I was just going to say, yeah. I mean, when it was at Universal Studios, I think that was great. At least it felt different, its own location, its own fan base can maybe gather there and could really turn into something special, like a little hidden gem. But if it's just going to be on Collision, I mean, I guess you're going to get your money's worth if you put all that money into the stage for Collision. Right. But it's just not going to look different. It's just literally they can just flick a switch and the signage will switch from AEW Collision to Ring of Honor. And that's it. It's just literally the changing of the computer graphics on the screens. And like, it doesn't feel that much different then. So that's just my issue. It's like, I want ROH to be special. I want them have a dedicated roster that only ROH is the spot you can see these people. Those titles only going to be seen there on ROH TV, ROH pay-per-views. I just want to be its own thing. And then with your dedicated roster, take some time, build up these characters, maybe a lot of the younger talent, green talent, come up with compelling stories, test things out. I mean, at least NXT now, I know it's still not the black and gold era, but at least they dropped the 2.0 name. And I think with the fusion, the mixture of NXT UK talent, some of the other talent that's been there for a while, who's got some more training under them. I feel like NXT now is better than it was a year and a half ago.
Oh, for sure.
So I want, and they're taking risk, and some work, some things work, some things don't. That's what I want ROH to be. I want Ring of Honor to be, something special. Like, oh my God, like for the longest time, people are like, oh, you watch Raw and SmackDown, you need to watch NXT. Something special is going on over there. Yeah. I want Ring of Honor to have that same feel. It doesn't right now. I've not watched ROH TV, and from everyone else I talked to, they're like, yeah, you're not missing much right now, unless occasionally a Claudio match or something. Yeah, I mean, that's about it.
I was just about to say, speaking of Claudio, if you, and I know there's nobody that does this probably, if you only watch Ring of Honor, you would think Claudio had that Roman Reigns schedule. He hasn't been on Ring of Honor in over a month.
Oh my God.
And he's their world champion. Yeah. And his last match was against Serpentico on May 7th. It's almost July.
And he hasn't really had the title with him on Dynamite.
No, that was the other thing that I was going to allude to. They barely even recognize him as the Ring of Honor World Champion. And it's like, what are we doing here? And plus, how many people are really paying for Honor Club to watch this show? I know the few times, I'll just say it right now, few times I've watched it, I got it other ways.
Yeah, I know you're good like that. So, but that's my thing. It's like, what's the point? And then like the Lucha Brothers, they're the ROH Tag Champion, but you still see them on Dynamite. Like, they're on there.
They're on there tonight.
Yeah, and you wrestled Blackpool Combat Club a couple weeks ago. I mean, you can still see them. So it's like, it's just.
Well, I mean, if we look at all their champions, the only ones that are really exclusive to Ring of Honor is Athena.
Yeah, exactly. And
for some reason, she doesn't show up, other than she's going to be on Forbidden Door. She doesn't show up on regular AEW television much of at all. And then you got like Joe, who's been gone forever. Shibata, who shows up here and there. And friggin' Brian Cage and the other guys of the Embassy, they've been on Dynamite and stuff recently.
Yeah, because they back with Swerve. I mean, they're bodyguards for Swerve. So I mean, it's just a little frustrating. With that being said, though, going back to Collision, what I'm excited for, real quick, as far as the set, like I said, I like the color scheme. It reminds me of old school Monday Nitro, WCW Monday Night Nitro. The graphics, what would you call it? Like futuristic, robotic, like I'm trying to think like the graphics that kind of describe Collision. You know what I mean? It's like industrial, like
I wouldn't say sci-fi,
cyborg.
Yeah, cybernetic, I don't know.
Yeah. But I think that's cool.
I know there's a word for it, and I should know this as a graphic designer. I've done these kinds of graphics before. I know there's a word for it, and now it's gonna bug me.
Okay.
I'll think of it though.
But you get what I'm saying? It in that sense had its own feel to it. Yes. It makes it different with the color scheme, the red ropes, all that stuff. With the announcers, I'm super excited for Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness. Excuse me. Oh my God. But yeah, Nigel, I love Nigel. Been a big fan of his, obviously NXT, like his era of being commentary for NXT. I think that was the best commentary whenever he was around. So I'm really glad to see Nigel back on cable television doing play-by-play. He's awesome. I just can't wait for his energy. I hope he gets to call pay-per-views and whatnot. So, and it's really interesting, just him and Kevin, just even their delivery, it's a little bit slower. It's like almost like a 180 of Excalibur. Mm-hmm. Even when they're describing upcoming matches, it's very slow paced. They take turns versus Excalibur is trying to read as fast as he can, and no one's helping him out. And he's like stuttering over himself, stumbling over himself. But Nigel and Kevin, are taking times with each or taking their time with each other. I know Jim Ross is also supposed to be part of it, but he showed up with the main event. And he just sounded rough, and he had a fall.
Yeah. He said he's taking some time away to heal up. So I don't think he'll be on this week's episode.
Yeah. So I definitely wish good old JR, a speedy recovery and hope he feels better.
With Kevin Kelly, I know there's going to be sometimes he is going to miss because he's going to Japan for G1.
Okay.
And then I think he said he might do one big New Japan show in the fall that he will have a replacement on Collision for.
Okay.
Which will probably be Excalibur, but we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the rosters appear all over the place. I'm sure the announcers are going to appear all over.
No. I wouldn't do Excalibur if you still want things separate, and I'd just throw in Ian Riccaboni because he's probably already going to be there for Ring of Honor anyways.
That's right. Good call. Yeah, yep. But so with that being said, like I love the set, the announcers I really love, even kind of like the pacing. It seemed to breathe a little bit more as far as like some more video packages, the matches, kind of flowing together, which we'll talk about some of the matches and stuff. When it comes to the roster, and now Tim, you probably know best. Like there were reports that there was going to be almost like a brand split, but then it was kind of like retracted a little bit, right? Like it's not going to be so like specific, like a hard brand split from Dynamite and Collision. But there's going to be, some people who are only going to appear on one show or the other, right? Is that how you best describe it?
So at one point, there was going to be a brand split, and they trademarked a term called transfer portal, which was going to be a way, how WWE did their brand invitational, where sometimes guys, that was what their transfer portal, I believe, was going to be. Something where at times a guy that's only Collision can jump over and go work on Dynamite or vice versa. And so now it's basically just, XYZ guy is going to predominantly only work Rampage or Collision, but can sometimes work Dynamite.
Yeah.
And then champions will go back and forth and this and that. Like FTR is going to be on both shows because of the tag team champions. And we've seen Bullet Club Gold already on both shows. CM Punk was on both shows. So I doubt the Bucks will ever be on Collision unless Punk's got the week off.
So, which is fine by me. I'm excited though. Like you said, it's not going to be like a hard brand split, but there will be probably some members of the roster who will be specifically more featured on one show or the other, Collision or Dynamite, which gets me excited as far as, okay, that's more TV time for these main shows. And now hopefully some wrestlers that I like, that I feel don't get enough screen time, there actually could be a place for them to get more TV time, develop some character beats better, some potential, hopefully some storylines. I know Tony Khan is great at booking matches, making up matches, throwing them together. I hope, since they're not going to try to maybe force everything on Dynamite in 2 weeks, a 2-hour show every week. Now you got 4 hours to work with. Maybe you can like have a match, take a breather, do a backstage promo, do maybe a video package, maybe a backstage segment that does some story beats there. So I'm excited at the potential. I want to be optimistic that there's going to be some better storytelling on AEW programming moving forward because of this second A show now for them, their version of SmackDown, if you want to call it that. Right. I want to be optimistic in that sense.
Right. And we've kind of got our first quote unquote Collision storyline with the whole Andrade and the House of Black stuff. So it's going to, because he fought, as Dasha said, Buddy Murphy last week, Buddy Matthews. But He fought Buddy Matthews last week. Now he's facing Brody King this week.
Mm-hmm.
What, maybe he faces Malachi the following week, and then eventually gets himself some partners, maybe Roosh and Preston Vance to take on the trios champions.
Or could he get some, since it's Forbidden Door, some LIJ, like Naito or something like that from New Japan. So I wonder if that's a possibility as well.
Add one more match to the pay-per-view.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I mean, we still have. That's the thing. They're taping Rampage right now.
Yeah,
and Collision's going to happen this Saturday. So there's still like 3 hours of programming where they can still announce more matches. So we can go, since we are taping this Wednesday night, we'll go through and just see what matches are listed as of this moment. Mm-hmm. And then I'm sure in the next couple of days, more stuff's going to get announced. But with that being said, so it seems like the rosters, Dynamite is going to be like the Elite, Blackpool Combat Club, Focus, while Collision is going to be CM Punk's show. And I guess you could say like the Misfits, the Outcasts, the people who don't get along with the Elite but are cool with CM Punk. It's more or less everyone, all of them are going to be on Collision. So for me, that's kind of like must-see TV there. You kind of see what drama could happen there with all these, Misfits taking place on Collision. But I'm just, like I said, that's what I'm going back to. I'm excited that some people who don't get enough TV time can have a place to maybe shine a little bit more.
Exactly.
So as we mentioned, CM Punk was this past Saturday, his return. That was a big announcement a couple weeks ago that CM Punk's coming back. He's going to be on Collision. We'll talk about his promo in a second, but also we saw the return of Miro, as you just mentioned. Andrade's there. Mm-hmm. Scorpio Sky had a video package. I believe Thunder Rosa is going to probably be a focus on Collision as well. Is there anyone else that's kind of like big names that are going to be more on Collision?
With Thunder Rosa, she still needs to get cleared. She says she ain't ready to be cleared, even though they're promoting her hard for this show. But give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up a graphic here to look at because they posted like a poster kind of graphic thing. Well, they posted a new one today or yesterday. Probably going to be hard to find because they've got all their Dynamite tweets now.
Oh, that's right.
But I could probably get it really quickly because they've got a lot of names on there. It looks like not Blackpool Combat Club, but the House of Black is going to be a main focus. Mm-hmm. And they can go back and forth because they are the trios champions. So that's a cool one.
And I'm guessing the TNT champion, whoever it is, right now it's Luchasaurus, which we'll get into in a second on that.
Is it?
Well, we'll get into. But since it is TNT, Collision's on, I'm guessing the TNT champion will be on more love there versus Rampage. So,
another name that's probably going to be, I think more on Collision, Powerhouse Hobbs.
Okay, cool. The Bay Area's own Powerhouse.
Because on this graphic that they posted, hyping up Saturday's show, trying to sell tickets and stuff, House of Black, CM Punk right in the middle, FTR, Thunder Rosa still on this poster like she's going to be on the show. I don't know. Miro, Joe, Orange Cassidy, Hobbs, Andrade, Ricky Starks.
Awesome. Okay. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the theme song, the intro for
Elton
Collision.
John.
Elton John, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. I mean,
I don't hate the song. Okay. But it, almost as a video editor myself, feels like they edited that video and then placed the song just over it. Like some of the cuts and the cues didn't match up quite right and perfect. I don't hate the song. I've always thought it was a fun song.
Yeah.
But I've only heard it like once or twice before, but regardless.
Yeah, no, it's fitting for Saturday night.
Yeah.
So, and it's wrestlers, so they are fighting each other. So
Tony Khan loves to pay money for music.
Yeah, which, hey, gotta give him credit. Instead of some generic, rock song or whatever, music he could use, he actually pays for a recognizable song for maybe the casual fan or something. Like, oh, cool. All right, gets me amped up for this. I know some wrestlers were kind of, throwing their own mixes of songs. They wish it was the theme. I know Stokely Hathaway was having some fun on Twitter. He's a great person to follow on Twitter, by the way, and social media in general. But
Stokely, he's the quote unquote heel GM of Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I mean,
and then Jerry Lynn's the babyface. Do you like the co-GMs over there on Ring of Honor?
Oh man, that's just another thing. It's like this random thing going on over there. But is it really worth watching? Anyway, sorry, I'm rumping here. So yeah, like I said, a lot to look forward to. If you're a fan of Miro, I'm excited to see what he can do over there. Andrade, get some more TV time. So we'll go through some of the matches in a second, but first things first, with Collision this week, CM Punk comes out, cuts an amazing promo. Well, I thought it was a great promo. I mean, get your thoughts on the promo, but comes out, he has like a pair of, wrestling boots or sneakers around his head. He has a red bag. Shoes. He has some red bag, and he cuts this promo. And I think for him, as Tim, you probably reported on this with your website, is he signed an NDA, can't talk about the events that happened at All Out last year, the Brawl.
Yeah, they've all signed things. They're not allowed to talk about certain aspects of what happened in that fight.
So the promo itself, he cuts. He's more or less saying, "Tell me any lies that I'm saying here," but he more or less says, I'm trying to think the best way to sum it up. Depending in Chicago, the crowd ate it up because he's from Chicago. Oh, yeah. But it's a very you can look at it subjectively and be like, this is almost like a heelish promo here. And
yes and no.
See, that's the thing. It's like he's like a tweener right now, at least by the tone of it.
I feel like he's frustrated because, in his words, especially in that ESPN article, he tried to reach out to the elite to have some sort of conversation and was given a don't reach back out, lawyer stuff, this and that. And the whole thing is maybe that is the elite not wanting to talk to him, but maybe also because of everything that went down, they were advised by the company, hey, no one can talk. It's got to go through lawyers and mediation. I don't know any of that. And there's been a lot of people that have been taking sides like, oh, CM Punk's, talking bad about the Bucks because they won't talk to him or he can't this and that. But we don't know exactly from, behind the scenes aspect if it's they don't want to talk to him or if legally they're not allowed to because some other legal things are still in play. I don't know. And that's something we may never know. But I do want to clarify one thing on the CM Punk promo. Okay. When he said, Alex Breslov calls me One Bill Phil, a lot of people misinterpreted that and were tweeting it out as Bill B-I-L-L, One Bill Phil. That's not what it meant. It meant that he's worth $1 billion. Bill, as in one bill, 1 billion, One Bill Phil. Kind of alluding to that with him, Warner Brothers Discovery may give them $1 billion deal.
Exactly. That's what I was going to ask. Is that him kind of hinting the potential TV deal that AEW could be getting from Time Warner Discovery?
I think so. But a lot of people that were tweeting going, oh, one BILL Phil. Like, oh, they think he's only worth $1. No. Because people took it as $1, $1, young buck, counterfeit bucks.
Yeah.
But that's not what it meant. It was basically him saying, hey, with me here, this company's worth more and you're going to make more money from TV people.
Exactly. So I did like when he came to the ring, he had the microphone. He pulled the AEW mic flag off, threw it off. Very similar to his time in WWE where he cut a heelish promo with Paul Heyman. The other thing, too, some people are kind of reading deep into, he does have a shaved head like he did back in the day with Paul Heyman when he did the same thing with the microphone. So some people are saying, okay, is this the beginning of him setting up his heel run as far as the look of himself? When he was wrestling last year, he had the long hair with the babyface run he was on. This time around, he has a shaved head. There was the mic flag. So some people are kind of like, from a body language standpoint, a presentation standpoint, is this him symbolizing a heel turn is coming? For the promo itself, he talks about being injured. He's back now. He said it's a business for grown-ups pro wrestling, not a popularity contest, which I was like, ooh, that's a little dig right there. I think just letting people know, he's all about business and making money.
Well, you heard what he said when he walked up the ramp right into the camera, right?
Remind me, what was that?
Where he said, I'm not here to catch stars because I'm already a star.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Something along those lines. But yeah.
He said, I'm tired of being nice. Tell me when I'm telling lies. When he kept saying that, I kept thinking of the Fleetwood Mac song, Little Lies. Sorry, it's the classic rock in me thinking. But, he was talking about just, how AEW is full of passionate wrestling fans, why he loves it there. But it seems now that there's people that hate him but love him. He does make people feel uncomfortable, and his presence makes people uncomfortable. I'm just paraphrasing here. You can boo me, cheer me, hate me. And that's where he says one Bill Phil. And I'm the one. You said, yeah, David Zaslav calls me one Bill Phil. You can call me whatever you want. I am the one genuine article in a business full of counterfeit bucks. The king is back, baby. And I do have a lot of things to get off my chest. And I did, like he said, I got a question, Chicago. Why would I change? This is what Joe Strummer trained me for. I love Joe Strummer from The Clash. Great punk rock reference there. I will never compromise. There's people here that think I owe apology. I've grown older and wiser in my years. If you're owed an apology and you're here tonight, I'm sorry that the only people softer than you are the wrestlers you like. Tell me when I'm telling lies. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
So people he has beef with in the back saying they're all a bunch of softies. So, and then he talks about what's in the bag, and he never pulled out what's inside it, but he was alluding that it was the championship, the AEW World Championship. And he said he never, I held what's in this bag. It's mine because I earned it. I won the dog collar match. This belongs to me until someone can pin me or submit me for it. And there are those who are praying that I'm going to put these boots down in the ring and walk off into the sunset. But until there's somebody in this company that can fill my boots, they belong to me. Tell me when I'm telling lies. So just more or less acknowledging he's coming back and he's going to go on a tear right now. So kind of your takeaways from that promo. I know you just kind of mentioned, he's obviously alluding that he's worth a lot of money for this company and potential TV deals. A lot of people are trying to read this. This is a heelish promo, but it got cheered because it was in Chicago. But if he cuts similar promos in other country or other parts of the country, how people are going to react to that, it's going to be really interesting. So do you want to see him go down this heelish route? But first things first, what do you think of the promo itself?
Like the promo I really liked. And the whole I'm the uncrowned world champion thing, I liked that as well because he did not lose the belt. He won it all in, and he's the champion and then got hurt. Had to take some time away. So regardless if he would have got suspended or not, he still would have been gone this entire time with the injury.
Exactly.
Now, maybe he would have come back sooner, like Christian, because Christian suffered the exact same injury and came back months ago. So maybe he could have came back sooner. I don't know that whole timeline of his injury, but he would have been gone regardless for at least 5 months, probably 6 months, 7 months. What was it 9 that he was actually, let's see, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So he was gone 9 months.
Yeah, exactly.
And
which is weird. In his promo, he said 10 months. I'm like, I could do math. I think it's 9.
Well, he must have, he might have counted the entire month of September as well, because it was the first weekend of September.
That's right. Yes. And the foot injury angle with John Moxley. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I thought the promo was good. We now know. Now, here's the one thing that I may have thought he shouldn't have done as far as referencing himself as the uncrowned champion is, does that hinder whatever they're doing with MJF and Adam Cole now? Because now we know that he referenced MJF specifically. So is it just we're waiting and we're biding our time till we get back to Chicago for All In, or All Out after All In for him to face MJF for the double title match or something? Because I can see maybe they stretch out this Adam Cole MJF thing, especially with that tournament they're going to be in for the tag title shot. And then they end up having their big title match at All In Wembley. That's the big MJF title defense against Adam Cole. And then the winner gets, if this is how they're doing the pay-per-view schedule, Punk the next week to unify the titles in Chicago All In. And does that just make it, okay, Adam Cole's probably not winning. It's going to be MJF and Punk.
Yeah, it's interesting with Punk back in the fold and having that red bag and alluding that he has his title that he never lost. So, are they going to revisit him and MJF pretty soon? Because I would think wherever I was just going to say, since he seems pretty injury prone, I think it's probably best not to have CM Punk in the title picture anymore, or at least in the short term, because every time he's won the championship, he's gotten hurt. Right now, you got MJF, and I think people are liking the story that the long-term story of I'm going to be champion forever. When my contract's up in 2024, I'm going somewhere else. So I think the story, maybe the second half of this year, is Tony Khan or whoever, the top baby faces are all going to keep challenging him, and they want to keep the title in AEW and not let it go to another company. But then again, CM Punk could be that savior. He could be like, I'm Mr. AEW now. I'm going to save this. And it's a role reversal of him and Cena from Money in the Bank in 2011, where he beat Cena, took the title, blew a kiss to Cena, and left, which came back, like 2 weeks later, which pissed me off. I wish CM Punk would have gone for like a month or two and went to different promotions with the title. That would have been awesome, but they didn't. Vince McMahon did not let that happen. I was like, damn it, that would have been so cool if he shows up to like a ROH show with the WWE title, or an indie show or something, or Japan or something. But maybe that could be one story. Maybe with MJF and CM Punk, they could do role reversal. MJF is threatened to leave as world champion. MJF trying to stay babyface. I'm Mr. AEW. I'm going to beat you. Make sure that title stays here in this company. So, I don't know where they can go with all this. What
if they do want to do the long term with MJF as a champion, and he beats this is going to make him an even bigger heel. He beats Punk to become the unified undisputed champion in Chicago. Then it makes him an even bigger heel with bigger heat, and that boo at the end of the show, and then his ego, he can go around saying, I'm undisputed champion. Yes.
So like,
I'm not just the AEW world champion. I'm the undisputed AEW world champion. And I'm going to go take this and fight that other undisputed champion.
Even though he's in a company where they have two world champions now. So he's no.
Well, that's the thing. He keeps referencing WWE and Triple H and Bruce Pritchard and all that, and Nick Khan. So, I mean, it's not against MJF to be like, I'm the undisputed champion. WWE's got an undisputed champion. Maybe we see who the real undisputed champion is in 2024.
Yeah. Exactly. So it'd be interesting what they're going to do with CM Punk long term with the title picture and what other stories they can come up with.
Yeah, because I could see them having MJF beat him.
Yeah. Let's real quick talk about the main event, though. Him and FTR teamed up, took on Bullet Club Gold of Juice Robinson and oh my God, why am I blanking? Jay White and Samoa Joe joining them. I love, obviously CM Punk waiting for the hot tag to come in, but with him and Samoa Joe, and I love that Nigel and Kevin Kelly were acknowledging their trilogy of matches way back in the day in ROH.
It was a 5.
Yeah, it was 5 or
I believe it's 2005.
Oh, 2005. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. I love Samoa Joe's intensity, like slapping the hell out of CM Punk, talking crap, and I was like, got it.
We're probably getting that Joe Punk singles match in the next couple of weeks.
I hope so.
Well, they're both on the same side of the bracket for the Owen Hart Cup.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Yeah. So,
and I assume they both win.
Yeah. So I love the match with them in there, and just, the moments that they got to share the ring together, just that intensity and the emotions. It's like, for any long-term fans, like, oh my God, we're seeing them back in the ring together. It's been ages. So, very cool. And then obviously CM Punk, FTR pick up the win. So send everyone home on a good note, happy note in Chicago. Great way to wrap up the first episode. Yeah. I will say with Collision, though, I wish they would have maybe set up more storylines in direction and maybe kind of left it like on a cliffhanger. So you can like have a reason to tune in to Collision the following week.
Well, that's like CM Punk's.
I was saying.
Go for it.
No, CM Punk's promo at the beginning of the show. He's kind of venting and talking a lot of inside talk. So if you're a casual fan, you probably have no idea who he's referring to. He's talking in vague terms. Unless you read the dirt sheets and whatnot, then you know who he's kind of referring to. Also, he didn't really promote what he's doing that night. If you just watch that promo and then change the channel, you probably thought, oh, that's it for him for the night. He did not reference teaming with FTR. He's going to be in the main event. Like, he was more like venting about backstage drama that insiders will know about. But for the casual fan, he did not promote that he was going to be wrestling that night. Like, hey, don't change the channel, stay here. And just kind of get into business in that sense. But that was kind of like my one issue. But also, I wish Collision maybe would set up some storylines, because I saw some people online say it just kind of felt like a TV special versus the first episode of a series of more show episodes to come. Well, I wish they would set up more stuff for down the road.
Because like I said earlier, the only storyline we know of for Collision is Andrade versus the House of Black. I mean, we ended that first episode and they announced nothing for the next week at all. Like, exactly. I get it. We're going to learn more on Dynamite. They, I think, maybe said that. I don't remember hearing that, but just to give them the benefit of the doubt, maybe they did. But even with that, we sometimes, they should have, because looking at all the matches that we do know for this week's Collision now coming off of Dynamite, they could have easily told us, oh, Swerve Strickland and Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we saw the House of Black attack Andrade. Well, next week, Andrade's going to try and get revenge on Brody King. Even if they just announced 2 or 3 matches, give us something.
Exactly. So hopefully, they learn from this, and like the next couple of weeks, they just start kind of building up more matches and storylines. That's my thing. It's like, I know that's a big ongoing conversation between AEW fans and non-AEW fans, is like the debate on storytelling.
Yeah.
For me, call me old school, I like storytelling. I want that cinematic appeal in my match or in my pro wrestling television. Give me backstage segments, give me promos, give me backstage interactions with the wrestlers, give me these story beats to give me a emotional reason to tune in and watch the actual match itself. Like, if it's just 2 guys or gals just going at it in the ring, but there's no story there, I can easily watch like a 30-second highlight video. Just, that's what they did in that match. Okay, cool. That person won. All right.
And like you said, you saw people referencing some of that kind of criticism online, but then there was also the same people trying to defend the company going, oh, well, they're in a weird position for the next couple of weeks because Forbidden Door kind of throws a wrench in everything, and they kind of got to stop some storyline stuff for a moment. And so like that does hurt things. And then they're going to start building up to the All-In show for Wembley. And we don't even know if they're going to do All Out the next week. So they're going to be building 2 pay-per-views at once. At one point, potentially. We don't know for sure. But without saying it, Tony Khan has kind of alluded to, we're still doing Memorial Day weekend.
So it's going to be interesting summer for AEW in many ways and the direction they're going to go. But I'm excited for Collision.
One last thing. What if, and maybe I'm completely out of left field here, All In is the Dynamite pay-per-view and All Out in Chicago is the Collision pay-per-view.
Oh my God. We're going to get brand split theme pay-per-views now.
Like, we're just going to build everything for All Out on Collision and everything for All In on Dynamite, and maybe like 1 or 2 cross promoted. I don't know.
Oh my God. That's going to be hilarious. But
because how else are they going to be promoting this 2 pay-per-views at once thing only a week apart?
Yeah, I have no idea. Like,
that was like when I alluded to earlier when I said maybe Punk is set for All Out and just gets the winner of the title match at All In.
It's almost like maybe it's a 2-part pay-per-view. It's like, because you know how, like, was it Wrestle Kingdom? They had like night 1, and depending the outcome of those matches, set up night 2. So maybe it's like, okay, Wembley, we're gonna have all these matches, and then based on the outcomes, what's gonna happen the following week. So it's like,
because like New Japan has that in a couple of weeks with their Independence Day show. They got July 4th and July 5th.
I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be really interesting. Something else that's really interesting, I just want to get your thoughts on this TNT Championship and just poor Wardlow. Is
Christian the new Ted DiBiase? Is Wardlow just gonna, here you go, boss?
I love the reference, man. So yeah, Wardlow, TNT champion for the second time, but once again, or is it? Yeah, second time, but short title reign, has a match with Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus picks up the win, and he's a first-time TNT champion, but he didn't even get to touch the belt. Like, Christian Cage jumped in the ring, grabbed it, jumped on Luchasaurus' shoulders, held it over his head, and was celebrating as if he was the champion. So, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, maybe he's the modern day Ted DiBiase now.
Right. Also, third time Wardlow had the belt.
Oh, Wardlow. Okay, yeah, I was trying to remember.
But so here's the thing. It's like not only, like you alluded to, Luchasaurus didn't get to touch the title. On Dynamite, they said Christian Cage will address the TNT Championship. And Wardlow is barely even seen in this graphic. Like his head's almost like the way they have the graphic designed is like they have all this stuff like faded up, and like almost all of Ward or Luchasaurus is covered up by the graphic.
Which we'll see how that plays out. I'm really curious how the promo is going to go. And yeah, is Christian going to hold the title and speak as if he's champion? That's going to be hysterical. I mean, I'm going to be excited for that. I think the bigger question here is Wardlow, man. Like, is he just buried, man? Like the guy where he was over a year ago, leading up to last year's Double or Nothing before the whole MJF meltdown and stuff. He was the hottest star in AEW. Now he has fallen off so much. Like, I don't know how you rebuild him now or get the momentum that he once had. Like, I just feel bad for the guy. I don't know where you go with him. I'm sure he's not happy, and I don't know when his contract ends, but I feel like that's someone that really dropped the ball on.
Big time.
I don't know what you do with him. I think Wardlow, I would not be shocked if he has a chance to leave the company. He would, just because they just really mishandled him in the last 13 months. So I don't know, man. Like 13 months ago, everyone loved Wardlow, and he was like the Batista 2.0 of this generation.
Well, they were treating him like Goldberg almost. At least the fans were with the chant and everything because of the music.
Yeah. So I'm really bummed with him. So
he's, in my opinion, he's just another guy on the roster now. Like he's a 3-time TNT champion. He just had the belt for 59 days. I think it's something around those lines. Yeah. And I honestly, if someone were to be like, oh yeah, Wardlow held that title for almost 60 days. Really? I wouldn't have even thought that reign was that long, but he's just another guy on that roster. And that's the hard thing, or the sad thing about AEW is a lot of people just feel like another guy on the roster. At times, even the Young Bucks feel like just another set of guys on the roster. FTR, Lucha Bros. I can name so many people that it's just like, oh, they're still here. Oh, hey, we finally get to see them again. Oh, they're doing something this week. Because so many people are not put in storylines like you alluded to with You Hope Collision has storylines where it's just like, oh, hey, here's another Rampage or another Dynamite where it's like today, 9 things are announced for the show. How many of them actually have significance?
Preaching to the choir, man. And that's like, don't get me wrong. I love AEW. I will support them any way I can, but as a consumer, and my time is so precious, if I'm going to watch, a 2-hour show of yours every week, I want to be entertained. I want to emotionally feel connected to these wrestlers and these storylines and have a reason to keep tuning in. I'm going to keep tuning in because for the podcast and future interview opportunities and events to be a part of. But I'm with you. It's just there's a lot of random matches, and it's almost like an indie show. I can go to an indie show and just see random matches.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier. Granted, Forbidden Door does throw a wrench in things storyline wise because it's like Bryan Danielson's in this like blood feud with the Elite, and then all of a sudden he's just like, oh, by the way, I want to fight Okada because Forbidden Door's coming up. It's like, okay, but then the Elite BCC stuff is still going on. Yeah, but then Okada's just now involved. Maybe this,
Which we'll get to that 1 second. I just do want to say I did love that the fact that it was Andrade versus Buddy Matthews. It was like the unofficial WrestleMania 39 rematch of significant others for Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. So
their significant others finishers and submissions.
Yeah, that's the, so for anyone who doesn't know, Andrade is married to Charlotte Flair now. Buddy Matthews goes out with Rhea Ripley. So Buddy Matthews, he did was it
Prism Lock? Prism Lock.
That's right. Yeah, the submission.
The inverted shooting star looking cloverleaf deal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then Andrade did the figure 8.
He worked that shoulder to get up for that bridge.
It was great. So I popped for that big time, seeing both of them do that stuff. So, overall, like I said, I'm excited to see some new faces, some old faces that have been on TV in a while for Collision. I'm going to keep tuning in. My DVR is set, so even if I can't watch it live, I'll watch it Sunday morning. And I'm down to keep talking about it. I'm excited. And as you said, huge ratings numbers. So CM Punk, not only he has the nickname One Bill Phil, but he is a ratings draw. So you cannot take that away from him. So
for sure.
Really excited for all that. So all right, let's talk about Dynamite real quick. Tonight was the go home episode for Dynamite for Forbidden Door, which is going to be this Sunday on pay-per-view. And Tim, you and I were talking before we hit record. They kind of, forced a lot of stuff on this show to like, oh yeah, we got set up this match.
Well, I mean,
that's kind of how it always is now.
When you have a pay-per-view and you only announce 4 things till the week of, and you want double-digit number of matches, you got to just all of a sudden
throw it all together here. So actually, let me just hit refresh on Wikipedia here of the matches. Okay, it doesn't look like they have any of the Rampage stuff here. Yeah, even though we kind of see some spoilers, but
I know one from Rampage.
Okay, so I'm just trying to think how to. How about this? Let's go down the matches listed for Forbidden Door so far, and then what we saw on Dynamite here to set up these matches, and just our thoughts on that real quick. So. Athena versus Billy Starks for it's going to be a first round for the women's Owen Hart Cup tournament. That's going to be on the pre-show. So that'd be interesting. It'd be cool. Like, I don't watch ROH TV every week, but I've heard nothing but great things about Athena's
amazing.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things. She's been like this badass heel there. So I'm excited to see her back on AEW related programming. So that's going to be good. Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay for the IWGP US title. So last week when we saw the Elite and Blackpool Combat Club going at it in the ring, Will Ospreay showed up, attacked Kenny Omega. Tonight on Dynamite, we see Will Ospreay at the arena. Don Callis shows up. It says like Canada's full of violent people. And, as we all know, Canada is like the nicest country ever, but it's funny. He's offering security to help support, take care of him while in Canada. Will Ospreay's like, what do you want in return? And he's like, oh, just a good match. And so.
Well, basically he said, I want to watch you get the 3 count on Kenny Omega, which leads me to think Don might try to get involved.
Yes. And I wonder, I have a feeling Will Ospreay is going to win. I believe he'll probably take back the IWGP US title back to New Japan since he is full time with New Japan.
And you got that rubber match.
Exactly. And that could be at Wembley.
Yeah.
He is British. So it would make sense to have the rubber match there. Yeah. So, and I wonder if Don Callis is just being friendly with him, maybe to set up something with Takesha down the road. Because as we know, since Double or Nothing, Takesha is a heel now, aligned himself with Don Callis. So I wonder
Don says he's going to grow his family.
So is Takesha technically part of Blackpool Combat Club?
No, he's with Don, and they're just aligned because they all hate Kenny.
Okay.
I believe that's my theory.
I know Takesha bled, and that's the big thing. You got to bleed to be part of the Blackpool Combat Club. And so he did bleed with them. Was a couple months ago now at this point. Yeah. But tonight, we'll talk about the video package in a second, the backstage segment. That was really cool. At the end of the show, we see Bryan Danielson come out. He actually, let's go ahead and talk about the backstage segment. So Blackpool Combat Club's backstage. Takesha's there. Don Callis is there. And Jon Moxley cuts this promo and says, I know Bryan Danielson's going to be busy taking on Okada, but the rest of us, we want to challenge the Elite to a 5-on-5 match. Oh, excuse me. So the remaining members of Blackpool Combat Club, along with Takesha, so that's 4 members. And then Mox is going to bring his protege from New Japan. It's going to bring, what's his name? Umino? Am I pronouncing that right?
Shota Umino.
Yeah, Umino. So that's their 5 there, and told the Elite, figure out your 5 guys. So it's going to be Hangman, Matt, and Nick Jackson. So they had this other video package them responding, which I guess that was pre-tape because
last week.
Yeah, the rumors were the Elite were not going to be in Chicago for Dynamite tonight. So
yeah, because Phil was there.
Yeah, and so Kenny Omega is there talking. Eddie Kingston's there, as we saw in Dynamite last week. Eddie Kingston came out, made the save as well against the Blackpool Combat Club. He has beef with Blackpool Combat Club, even though he's friends with Jon Moxley. He hates Claudio. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Is that the phrase?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm totally butchering that.
Basically, he says he hates Claudio worse than anybody. So if he can have any way to fight Claudio, he'll team with people he don't like.
And so Eddie Kingston in this backstage promo says he wants to pick the fifth member, someone that he can trust. At the end of the show, we saw Moxley and Kingston have a face off, and they're going back and forth. And what'd you think of that? It seemed a little awkward for us. Yeah.
They only got like 6 minutes to do this whole closing segment. It was very rushed. They didn't like Moxley go face to face. Moxley won't actually say much to him, and then he just like blows him off. And Kingston's like, "Oh yeah, our final partner is Ishii."
Yeah, so he just says Ishii's gonna be the fifth member.
And then Ishii comes out,
and it comes out, and then
Ishii comes out, big old Stone Pitbull Ishii, and just gets beat up easily. Like what?
And then Brian Danielson comes out. He comes out, and they're all beating him up. And then, earlier in the night, Brian Danielson challenged Okada to meet him face to face. Sure enough, Okada does come to the ring. You tweeted out the video, Tim, the video of just the crowd reaction.
They love Okada.
When his theme music hit and the change, the sound of the change hitting the floor.
Yeah.
Amazing. So they have a little face off there. Okada tried to give the lariat to the clothesline to Brian Danielson, but he ducked and then instead took it out on Wheeler Yuta. So,
also, can we go back to Eddie Kingston really fast? Okay. Why do you have to get dressed in the ring? Did they wake him up from a nap or something? Was he in catering? Spill some barbecue sauce on his shirt? Because they come back from commercial. They come back from commercial, and I've never seen Eddie Kingston run like this down that ramp, sliding into the ring. Like, I've never seen Eddie Kingston slide into a ring like that. And then he's like, "Excuse me for 1 second. I just had surgery. My body ain't in good. I had ice cream." So I guess he spilt his ice cream. He's like, "I had ice cream and whatnot. I got to put my shirt on." So was he eating? CM Punk give him an ice cream bar backstage or something, and he messed up his shirt? Because he literally said, "My body ain't good right now, and I just had some ice cream. Let me put my shirt on, and then we'll get going."
How long was he out for? I know storyline wise, he quit AEW, went to ROH. But didn't he have surgery a few months ago?
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to be wrong. I'm going to look it up right now.
He had a surgery for something, so I remember that. Let me ask you real quick though. So this 5-on-5, you got Blackpool Combat Club. So Moxley, Yuta, Claudio makes sense. They're 3 out of the 4 members. Takesha, as you mentioned, hates Kenny Omega as well, so he aligns with the Blackpool Combat Club, but he's not an official member. And then Moxley's bringing in his protege from New Japan, Umino. Yeah. So there's the 5. Now the Elite, it's only going to be Hangman, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson. As we said, Kenny's going to be busy with Will Ospreay. There's Eddie Kingston and Ishii. I think some fans are a little disappointed with that combo of the 5 right there. I think a lot of people still want oh my God, Kenny Omega's friend. Oh my God,
Kota Ibushi.
Kota Ibushi, yes. Do you think they're holding out on that because Kenny's not involved in this match, so they're not going to bring in Kota in? I mean,
I don't know because they didn't bring him in for last year's show either. And you know the whole reason Kenny gave on why he never came to AEW yet, right?
Which one was that one?
Well, Kenny's reasoning right when they started AEW why we're not seeing Ibushi, because he basically was like, well, if I asked Ibushi to come with me to AEW, he'll come in a heartbeat and not even question it. But I don't want to take his dream away from him of being IWGP champion. And if he's not in New Japan, he won't be able to win the title. And I don't want to take that from him because, whatever I ask him, he will do. That's what Kenny's whole thing was when AEW started.
Okay, well,
he said that at the Starcast stuff.
Yeah.
In Vegas, that first show.
Well, since then, Kota has, gone on to win the IWGP.
Yeah. But he's also been dealing with a lot of shoulder injuries.
Yeah. And he also didn't have like a little dramatic falling out with New Japan officials.
Kind of, because he had there was like something that happened with his mom, and like they wanted him to work, but he needed the time off. So I don't know exactly.
There's
also, Eddie Kingston had hernia surgery and hasn't worked a match since Supercard of Honor March 31st when he lost to Claudio. Here's the thing. This guy lost to Claudio for the title. So why should we care that he's going after Claudio again if the last match he had was a losing effort against the champion? At least Adam Cole has a gripe to go for MJF still. He didn't win or lose. Time just expired.
Yeah. I'm
bring him on for you.
I know, Tim. I know. But so yeah, and like I'm a little underwhelmed with this match because I feel like obviously Kenny Omega is in the more blockbuster match with Will Ospreay. That makes sense. I think not having him with the rest of the Elite, it's like, okay, it's not the full Elite team. Eddie Kingston there.
It just feels weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are still waiting because my thought was after Anarchy in Arena at Double or Nothing, I thought the logical step, because remember, didn't Kenny cut, was off air, said, I need some more friends to help me. I got to find some friends. And then that following Dynamite, Kenny wasn't there, but the Elite had the interview backstage and he said, he's not in the country, but he's not in Canada. And then Hangman walked off. So a lot of people assume he was going to Japan.
Well, we thought he was going to show up we thought he was going to show up at the Dominion show that Moxley and Claudio worked.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people thought he was going to Japan to recruit
somebody.
Somebody, or Kota Ibushi, and that was how he was going to bring him in. But now Forbidden Door, his attention is towards Will Ospreay, which makes sense. So I wonder if they're just going to hold off Kota Ibushi coming to his aid to take on Blackpool Combat Club. Maybe it's at Wembley. Maybe it's bigger there. But my point being, okay, they did Anarchy in Arena. The only other match that I think they can do to raise the stakes will be a Blood and Guts match.
Correct.
And so maybe Blood and Guts could be at Wembley. And so maybe it's the Elite versus Blackpool Combat Club and Takesha versus the Elite and Kota Ibushi. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of that raises the stakes 5-on-5 with star power there. Oh, but then we just said Will Ospreay and Kenny part 3.
Right, but the other thing that almost makes me think, no, tickets have already been on sale. They don't have it set up for a double rings and stuff. They like to use that for a Papa rating on a Dynamite. So, and it's like they've got. That's the thing with, again, Forbidden Door's messing everything up because it's like, where are we going? What are we doing? Now if Omega would have cut that promo on Friends elsewhere and mentioned Okada, then maybe Danielson wanting to go after Okada, saying, oh, you want to come help Omega? Well, maybe I stop you before it even happens.
Yeah.
And show I'm better than you and this and that. That would have made sense because we know the storied history with Okada and Omega, both as opponents and even earlier this year teaming together.
So, well, hopefully after Forbidden Door, we'll see some direction where they're going towards Wembley. Because at that point, it would be less than, 7 weeks build. It's end of August, right? I believe. Is it end of August?
Yes. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 weeks.
Okay.
If I'm counting correctly.
Yeah. So we'll see. Also, Sonata will defend the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against Jungle Boy Jack Perry, who Sonata put he put the request out, the challenge out for an opponent. And then later in the show, Dynamite last week, Jungle Boy answered, says he'll do it. And Hook was there. And everyone keeps saying Jungle Boy is going to turn heel. Is it just because he's been on a losing streak lately and he's going to turn on Hook? Like, does that make sense?
No. People think he's turning heel because he almost did a belt shot in the 4-way.
That's right. Okay.
He contemplated using the belt at Double or Nothing. Gotcha. So they think that's a tease for a potential Jungle Boy heel turn, which some say is needed by now because they've kind of just exacerbated him as the baby face that goes out there and can have fun matches, but isn't super successful on his own.
And he's not good on the microphone, has not a lot of character development. So yeah, he needs something. His dad didn't teach him to act.
His dad didn't teach him to act.
Exactly.
You would think his hey dad, I want to be a wrestler. All right, well, here's all the people that I know that can teach you how to act.
Yes, something. So maybe a heel turn can loosen him up a little bit and he can have some more character development as a bad guy. So we'll see. But I mean, it should be a fun match, but
I don't know. Even on Dynamite.
Yeah. So it's a little underwhelming.
He's going to work Rampage this week, but it's like, that's a world title match.
Yeah.
And no reference at all on Dynamite to it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Let's see. MJF. Okay. So last week, Tanahashi challenged MJF for the AEW World Championship. MJF initially turned it down, says he doesn't want to waste his time on that indie fed over there. Yeah. And but then it was still announced later in the show that the match was going to happen. So even though MJF said, nah, he's not going to wrestle, he's not going to show up, it got announced.
Well, no. The whole thing was, does he actually show up or not? Which, yes. I don't know if you saw the Twitter consensus of, maybe MJF, well, we know he's going to show up now because he accepted the challenge tonight on Dynamite. Yes. But people on Twitter were literally going, maybe CM Punk so maybe MJF no shows and CM Punk shows up with his red bag and gets the match he never got last year against Tanahashi. But as we learned tonight, his new tag team partner, Adam Cole, baited him into accepting Tanahashi's challenge.
So, yeah, let's talk about that. So last week, or actually 2 weeks ago in Dynamite, Adam Cole and MJF had this great promo in the ring back and forth, which I would love to get into this. I know we're running long on time, but at some point I want to discuss that because there was a lot that happened in that promo. Last week, they had a match for more or less, if Adam Cole wins, he gets a title shot.
Yeah, they're eliminator match. If you beat the champ, you get another shot at the champ with the title on the line.
Great match. It goes to full 30 minutes. And as Adam Cole's trying to get a pin right when the ref hits 2, or about, I was going for the third pin, the bell hits and it runs out of time, 30-minute time limit draw. Adam Cole challenges MJF for another 5 minutes. He says no. And in true heel fashion, walks out of the ring and leaves. Says, no, the match is done. I'm it. So then this week's a follow-up.
To MJF's credit, not just in true heel fashion, just being smart as heck. I mean,
exactly.
He's following the rules.
Yeah. So tonight on Dynamite, they have the in-ring segment, and Adam Cole says, I want a rematch. I want to challenge you. And calls him a coward. And then the Tanahashi video package plays, says, I challenge you for a match. And Adam Cole says, you should, you're a coward if you don't do it. Then the MJF got mad. Says, yes, fine, I'll have the match.
You're jumping the shark here, though. Before the Tanahashi video plays, we find out that these two blokes got to be tag team partners in a tournament. And MJF really goes, wait, he's not concerned about being Adam Cole's tag team partner. His concern is, wait, I'm in a tournament that means I got to work every week. Yes. I got to wrestle every week.
Yeah, so that was funny. But then a lot of people online complains like, it's another can they coexist tag team storyline. Two singles
that's what
guys.
This whole tournament is.
Yes, and that's which I was kind of confused when they announced it, kind of the concept behind it. But now it makes sense what they're going to do. So, looks for the short term, MJF, Adam Cole are going to be tag team partners. So that's going to be interesting how that plays out. But then for right now, MJF will face Tanahashi for the AEW World Title, Forbidden Door. But then Tanahashi is going to face Swerve on Collision this Saturday, which should be a lot of fun.
Did you like Adam Cole's line at the end of the segment though? So he baits MJF into taking the Tanahashi match, basically saying, you don't want to be a coward, you don't want to be called scared. And then MJF's like, fine, I'll do it. And he's like, all right, well, good luck, partner.
Yeah. I like that. It's like, all right, it's going to add some tension between the two of them. I'm sure they'll have some funny segments together, hopefully. But I like what you said, Tanahashi. Do you think MJF might pull out still, and then CM Punk slides in and has a match with Tanahashi, that the one he didn't have last year?
Right. I don't think it. Well, it's not going to happen now because we know Punk's match as well, the Forbidden Door. Because Punk's in the Owen Hart Cup.
Exactly. So Jericho Appreciation Society will take, and Minoru Suzuki will take on Sting, Darby Allin, and a partner to be named later. I'm excited for the Jericho versus Sting part. Obviously, their history going back to WCW. I guess, they never wrestled each other.
Never.
I was trying to remember from my middle school and high school days. I never saw that. So the old me, the young kid at heart, the 90s kid.
From what I heard, they've never done anything together, like promos, no nothing.
Like I said, I mean, I used to watch Nitro, Thunder all the time. And I don't remember them two ever doing anything. And I think Jericho left, obviously go to WWF.
And Sting went to TNA.
Yeah, so they never crossed paths.
Here's the weird thing. Jericho called Sting a whore who only goes to the highest bidder. But you think TNA actually had more money and was the highest bidder for that decade he was there or whatever?
It was just a lighter schedule, right? I mean, that was...
Well, he just didn't want to go to WWE. That was he kept saying it for a long time. I just don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. He eventually did.
Yeah.
And got buried. And then almost ended his career.
Exactly. Buckle bomb from Seth Rollins. But so I'm excited to see these two legends square off. I mean, Sting can't really do one-on-one matches anymore, so having this 6-man tag makes sense. But
unless you think maybe his retirement match is him and Jericho?
See, that's
maybe at Wembley.
I'm sure Sting. I think Sting's been vocal about this is going to be the end of his retirement.
Well, didn't you ask Tony about that in an interview?
I did. Yes. Sorry, I was like, wait a second. Yeah, I'm the one who asked him about that interview. That was my answer that got made the rounds. Sorry. But. I think with that being said, Sting's probably like, okay, what else have I not done in my career that I want to get done this year, accomplish? So maybe him and Jericho having something in the ring. And so, either this is the beginning of maybe one more match or one match, final one-on-one match between the two of them. So I'm excited for this match here. And then CM Punk, as you mentioned, will be in the first round of the men's Owen Hart Cup tournament. He's going to take on Kojima. I've seen Kojima wrestle before in that West Coast Pro Wrestling. So
Satoshi Kojima.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Should be a lot of fun.
So I assume Punk wins this.
Yeah.
Moves on to the next round.
Mm-hmm.
Ends up, because also in the same side is Samoa Joe and Roderick Strong. Yes. So do we get Joe, or do we get Punk and Joe, or Punk and Strong?
I think Joe and Punk, that's like a pay-per-view level match right there.
And did they say, I think they did, but I can't remember where the finals of this tournament is taking place.
It's in July in Canada.
I think it's in wherever Calgary show. I think it's a Collision episode in Calgary.
I saw was that here, but for me, I know Samoa Joe is the ROH TV champion, so I don't know if he. But then again, it's not ROH. It's an AEW tournament, so he can lose. It probably won't be that big of a deal.
So I think it's July 15th is the finals. If it's in Calgary, like they were saying.
Okay.
On Collision. So it's good. So the finals is actually going to be in theory, depending on who's in that finals, a big booster for Collision because it's a Collision episode.
What I'm getting at is, yes, I want to see CM Punk versus Samoa Joe, but as a random match in a tournament, I'd rather have that built up for a pay-per-view match or a big TV main event match.
Right, because because Joe is not even having his first round match until, let me see, I'm looking at the graphic here, June 29th on Collision.
Okay, yeah, so.
Which is a Thursday, okay, so this is weird that they actually put June 29th on the graphic because it's the pre-taped edition of Collision. But it's still airing on the Saturday, but they put the Thursday date. So this match is not even airing till July 1st. So then, in theory, Punk and Joe in the semifinals should be on July 8th.
I don't know. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And
then the finals the following week. So we got literally 4 weeks of this tournament. Bang, bang, bang. Okay.
Any early predictions? Who you think is going to win the tournament?
I think it's going to come down to either Powerhouse and CM Punk, or so. If I'm looking, so the left side, easy. Punk makes the finals. But on the right side, I think it's going to be either Powerhouse or Ricky Starks.
Okay.
But who do you think faces Punk? A baby face or a heel? Do you think they do Punk versus Hobbs?
And they had history in Punk's first go around, right?
I think so.
Remember
the Team Taz stuff?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's something they can revisit.
I think it might have been Meltzer who said that Punk, when they were setting everything up for Collision, was a big proponent of Powerhouse Hobbs and wanting him on that Collision show. So maybe it is Punk and Hobbs in the finals.
Okay.
You think Punk wins the whole thing?
Maybe.
On the July 15th Collision?
Yeah. I mean, I know CM Punk loves Bret Hart or the Hart family in general, so I'm sure he would love to win the Owen Hart tournament. So it would probably mean a lot to him. So I could see that. So, and it also was announced for the AEW International title, Orange Cassidy defending against Zack Sabre Jr., Shibata and Daniel Garcia. After tonight, Cassidy and Shibata teamed up, taking on Zack Sabre Jr. and Garcia. Fun match,
As far as the 4-way goes, can you tell me why one guy doesn't fit the rest?
Oh, he doesn't have a title.
Yeah, Garcia.
Yeah, Garcia's the only one who doesn't have a title. So Shibata is the ROH Pure Champion. Zack Sabre Jr. is the New Japan Strong Television Champion, and Orange Cassidy's the International Champion. So
I think it's either going to be Orange Cassidy or Garcia. Maybe Garcia wins by pinning Sabre or something, and they keep Orange Cassidy strong by not having to get pinned.
Or Orange Cassidy pins Garcia because he's the only one without the title.
Yeah.
So Cassidy retains and continues his story of just constantly defending that title, but he's just breaking down at the same time with every defense. So I'm sure.
You think he gets to 1,000 days? I mean, he's got a Superman punch as well. You think he takes this orange punch to 1,000 days?
Vitamin C, a lot of orange juice. It'd be, God, 3 years of this. I don't know, but I think when he does drop the title, which has been a great storyline for him and really elevating him and his matches, and hopefully changing some people's minds who hate him or his style of his presentation.
Well, I mean, he's changed my mind because when I first saw Orange Cassidy, I was like, "Oh, this is a stupid gimmick." But the more I see him, and more I go, "Oh, this guy can go."
Yeah, exactly.
This guy's good. So I still don't like the little kicks and all that. But when you're doing all them moves with your hands in your pockets, holy crap.
So I think, when he does drop that title, it's got to be on a big stage now. So maybe like in a Wembley or something. So I can see him retaining, pinning Garcia, who's the one who doesn't have a title. So that way, Zack Sabre.
That makes more sense.
Shibata still looks strong here, and still looks strong as their respected champions. And then also got announced, Toni Storm versus Willow Nightingale, defending the AEW Women's Championship. Toni Storm, that is. Willow Nightingale, who's the women's New Japan Strong Women's Champion. So this got kind of announced last minute, but I'm excited. They rightfully so should have a women's match on this show.
Question:
I love Willow Nightingale, but
do you think maybe this spot was earmarked for Mercedes?
Absolutely, had to be. I mean,
Mercedes and Toni Storm.
Yeah,
and then you have Saraya on the side with the history.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that was the goal. I think Willow Nightingale's only in it because she's the women's New Japan Strong Women's Champion. But as we all know, that belt was more or less designed for Mercedes to win last month, but got unfortunately injured and had to change up the finish.
It does and doesn't fit the Forbidden Door theme because Willow is technically like an AEW wrestler, but she is a New Japan champion. So it kind of does fit. Yeah.
Exactly. So, that should be a fun match, though. Tony Storm, I love her in-ring work, and Willow, just overall, Willow should be pushed to the moon. There's the future for that women's division.
Oh, yeah.
So,
So
let me hit refresh one more time. So, it's still 10 matches listed here, but I know there's some spoilers online of what was announced on Rampage.
One match set up on Rampage.
Okay.
You want to give the spoiler or no?
Shit. I mean, I'll post this tomorrow on Thursday, and I'm sure the hardcore fans will already research what it is, and who knows how many people are going to tune the Rampage for it anyway. So Go ahead, give it. Yeah.
So after Dynamite, they film Rampage, and I'm reading this write-up from Fightful. Give them credit because I'm reading their write-up. Okay. Adam Cole came to the ring to speak after he was it was revealed that him and MJF are going to be tag team partners in the Blind Eliminator tournament. And according to fans in the building, out would come, filthy Tom Lawler, who would attack Adam Cole, setting up a match between the two at Forbidden Door, marking Lawler's first ever appearance in All Elite Wrestling. Also, I'm not sure what he was saying or doing, but MJF has a microphone from the photo I'm looking at, standing at the top of the ramp, while Lawler has Cole in a single-legged Boston Crab.
Gotcha. So Adam Cole versus Tom Lawler at Forbidden Door. And I'm sure they might announce last minute stuff at Collision as well. So this might turn into
maybe like another
match.
pre-show match or something.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think who's missing like big name value.
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
Let me double check.
I'm looking at the lineup.
Let's see. Kenny Omega's there, obviously. Hangman, MJF. I'm just trying to think all the former world champions.
Right.
Mox. So they're all present. Jericho as well. I mean no Swerve. I know Swerve's on Collision, so maybe that's to make good. It's like, okay, if you're not going to be on Forbidden Door, you rest on Collision. So
TNT champion Luchasaurus.
Oh yeah. No TBS champion Chris Statlander.
Right. No Acclaim.
No tag titles or
no FTR.
No FTR. No House of Black.
Right.
New Japan has their own 6-man titles.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised they didn't do like a champion versus champion type thing.
No.
Yeah. No FTR.
Jeff Jarrett, Lethal.
Yeah. But that's what happens with these all-star type shows. Not
now,
everyone can be
in case anybody says we overlooked the Hardy Boys, Hardys can't be on the show because Jeff ain't allowed in Canada.
Exactly, and I know there was a report earlier. He's taking.
Yeah, he was written off. He was written off television tonight.
Yeah, so that makes sense because they're doing a big Canadian tour for the next month. So, but no, I'm excited for Forbidden Door. Last year was a lot of fun. I know there was a lot of injuries last year, so the show probably wasn't fully what they wanted last year, but it looks like it's a make good this year on some matches here. So knock on wood, from time we're recording now to Sunday, everything goes as planned. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to this, and it's gonna be it's always exciting when you get two major promotions working together for a big super show, all-star show. So yeah, looking forward to it and doing a review as well. So if you couldn't tell, now my voice is starting to give a little bit. So I think that's a good sign to start wrapping things up. Tim, once again, thank you again for filling in for Brian tonight.
Anytime.
I like this. We got to talk Collision, got to talk Dynamite, and also a little bit predictions for Forbidden Door as well. So on that note, where can the Kliqsters find you online?
You can find me at Pro Wrestling Unlimited. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, of course, everywhere. Just search Pro Wrestling Unlimited or PW Unlimited. And then you can also find my other kind of work, my graphic design and my photography stuff over at Timmy Buddy on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter as well.
You're the man, Tim. I cannot vouch, encourage people, support you, check out your work, hire Tim, use Tim for whatever you need. Tim is one of the best. Like you said, you're a one-man wrecking crew, especially on the West Coast when it comes to pro wrestling, media coverage, news coverage, podcasting, hosting, all that stuff. You're the man. So definitely encourage everyone to check it out. Oh, you're very welcome. And I'm Baby Huey. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey 83. For everything else, Please subscribe to In The Kliq, where we get your podcasts at. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Follow us on social at In The Kliq. Email us inthekliq@gmail.com. And on that note, I'm going to go drink some tea or something for my throat. But let's go home. And that's the bottom line, because Huey said so.